This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 1340, Horse Tip Daily, your almost everyday morsel of helpful hints, useful facts, and practical techniques for horse folks. Brought to you today by Wintec. Hey y'all, Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip features the Dressage Radio Show crew, Reese, Koffler, Stanfield, and Philip Parks, and they're going to talk about a list they found online about ways to make your dressage test better. But before we get to our tip, I wanted to thank Wintec for sponsoring this episode. Longtime Horse Radio Network fans know that I'm a big fan of Wintec saddles. I've been riding them in them for about 20 years now. Whether I'm eventing, showing in dressage, or fox hunting, or hitting the trail at an endurance competition, I know my saddle fits my horse and it's going to hold up to the toughest conditions and look great doing it. You may be wondering exactly which saddle do I use for this varied group of disciplines? Well, Wintec makes saddles for every discipline. That's how. I have several. And Wintec doesn't sit on their laurels. 2019 brings even more innovation to the saddle range, so head out to your local tack store and have a sit-in one. Or you can contact your favorite online retailer, arrange a test ride, or check them out online at wintecsaddles.us. And now, on with the tip.
Now we have some tips, right? We have some tips to make your dressage test better.
Yeah. We're getting this article from Horse and Hound. And this is, they've got Isabel Wessels giving 9 tips for dressage success. And I think they're pretty cool tips. So we thought we'd just bring them on the show. If any of these tips help our riders showing, I think that's pretty cool. So maybe we'll just get right to it. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll let you read them since I can't see them.
You have no computer access, for sure. No problem.
I have no computer.
The first tip is I think they're all sort of basic tips that we have to think, we can think about them and make sure we're doing it. I think the first one is get out competing on a regular basis. So I think that's a big one for us here in Canada because our show season is really kind of short. And we can certainly, do one show and not feel great about it and then not want to show for a month or two. But I think if you just keep doing it, you keep showing, I think you can learn how to be good at competing. I don't think you learn how to be good by staying at home. So I think
just like you said, you have a very shortened season, and we have a longer season here in Kentucky. We really can start in March. But that brings up a good point because we had another rider from our barn, Meredith, who did a great job this weekend. Her first test was pretty rusty, but honestly, it was her first show. It was literally the first time she'd gone down the center line. She's from Boston. She's not from here, so it was her first time sort of showing with our group. And, next year I even said to her, you know what, we need to make sure you get to some schooling shows before it sort of counts. And, if you can't, we're lucky. We have a nice schooling show here. But even during the summer at our local park, 2 local judges go every Wednesday night. They sit in the judges booth and they judge, and you pay $10. And it's called Summerbird, and you go and you ride your test and you get your feedback from these judges. And it's an awesome little community service they do.
That is absolutely amazing. Yeah.
It's fantastic. But you could mirror that at your farm. That's not hard to do. Or, your trainer can, go to somebody's farm, or you can get creative if you don't have sort of access like we do here or schooling shows. You can have little schooling shows, or even have 4 or 5 of your friends come over and, have a judge or someone sit and judge you and give you some good feedback. I think it's really important. And, I even said that to Meredith. Literally, I said, you know what, your first score wasn't very good. We should toss it because there was a lot of nerves and the horse was nervous and she was nervous and hot, just da. And so I think it sounds so simple, but, like
get
you said,
out
you
there,
guys have
keep
a really,
doing it.
Yeah, you have a shortened season, but to be able to go out, even have a dress rehearsal, get all your clothes on, make sure everything fits and it's clean. And, because the worst is when you're trying to get ready for your test, the first show of the year, and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to buy a hairnet. Or, it sounds simple, but I think it is really important to do it. So I would
this
recommend
brings
it.
us to, I think it's a nice sort of thing right into the next tip is to set yourself realistic targets. So I think that, that goes right into where you're saying this is your first show, maybe, you have to say, for a lot of riders, just getting down the center line and completing the test is a big win, I think a lot of us have high aspirations to do well, but, when you're first getting out, just, you don't fall off. That's a great day.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I tell people.
I say that every day.
Fall off. The rest is just horse dancing.
Right.
Stay in this.
I think
stay in
that's
the
right.
saddle. Yeah. And
then you say
so
maybe
you
the
have
next
to know.
day.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. Then I was going to say, then the next day, your goal can be a little bit higher, and that is, okay, I didn't fall off the first day. Excellent. I lived. Everyone's fine. Okay, now I'm a little bit more organized. Let's go more for a little better score or a little better ride and walk through it or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
do the steps, and just, knowing where you and your horse are at and discussing it with your coach about, how do you think, what should I be looking to achieve here and how do you think I'm going to do and what's a realistic target for me and my horse. So I think that's a good one. And number 3, ride at a higher level at home. So you need to be training, everybody says, a level above. So I think that's, that's good. That's realistic. Even 2 levels above is great. That's, we talk about that a lot. I think that we've given that tip quite a bit. So,
I think that's right. And it's hard, when you're doing training level, I mean, it really is hard to do that, but you will work up to it. Where you're competing a level higher or lower than you are showing. So,
yeah. Our next one, number 4 here is plan ahead. I think we've done a lot of tips and shows with people who talk about planning different things ahead of time and making sure all your stuff is packed and you're thinking of every contingency and that's a big one for me because I'm not a great spur of the moment remember of stuff. So I have to do a lot of planning.
It's awful. Let's call a spade a spade. So it's awful. It drives me crazy. I'm sure Meredith wants to kill you all the time. Like I'm one of those that sleeps in my clothes for the morning. So you drive me crazy. Okay, it all seems to work out, but for me, it would give me a stomach ulcer. But I'm a planner, so I have to have it all laid out.
Going guy, and when I mean, inevitably I forget something all the time, but I'm just sort of okay at this point. Although one time I did forget to take my riding boots to a show, and I had to borrow somebody's boots.
That's not cool.
That was very terrible. Yeah, I felt bad about that one.
Yeah, I bet you never do that again.
Yeah. All right, next one. Next tip. This is a great one, and I think this is, sort of everybody's like, it's a no-brainer, but you got to know the test inside and out, backwards and forwards, and having ridden it a lot. And I mean, that will give you confidence, and confidence will lead to success. So,
you got it.
Well, there you have it. Make sure to have all of your favorite Horse Radio Network shows with you with the Horse Radio Network app. It works for iPhone and Android. Just go to your app store, search Horse Radio Network, download it today. You can also subscribe via iTunes, Spotify, etc., your favorite podcast player. And thank you again to the folks at Wintec for sponsoring this show. This is Coach Jen, and I will be back again soon with another tip. So until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements made by guests on the Horse Tip Daily. Please use your own judgment when listening to the tips on this show.